Welcome to another episode of iStartFirst podcast. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, and today I'm going to share with you the truth behind the constant battle, the chicken and the egg, the hustle, the grind, and the balance. What should come first, how you should really work on your life to perform at your highest capacity at all times, and why you should never sell out into the idea of never ending grind. Hi, loves. Welcome to iStartFirst podcast, the show for boss babes who start ideas, businesses, dreams, and lifestyle. I'm your host, Alenka Cullinan, founder of iStartFirst, speaker, author, and business coach, aka Queen of Pushing Boss Babes off the ledge. On this show, I chat with epic humans who are guaranteed to uplevel your business and mindset. Are you ready to sparkle up? Let's go. Welcome to iStartFirst podcast. So excited for another episode. And today I wanted to record this myself because I wanted to share something that's very personal, and it's been a lot of conversations recently with clients, with friends, with a lot of women that I meet. It seems that everybody is struggling with the same idea, with the same struggle. It is absolutely timely because just yesterday I was in pajamas in my bed for most of the day. And today I'm here recording a podcast. This is my second one. I just did a guest episode with someone else on their podcast. I'm fully in my makeup. I'm dressed up, ready to go, rocking and rolling today. So that's exactly what I wanted to talk about, which is that balance, that fine line between laying in bed, being tired, being stressed out, being ready to quit, being willing to walk away from everything because you're so tired of the grind, but then having that ambition and that drive, but also being super put together, ambitious, driven, going to the next level. So it's that struggle. It's that struggle that so many of us women are dealing with because, on one hand, you're ambitious, you're running your business, you're a mother. If you're a mother, you're a partner. If you have one, if you're single, you're still in that overdrive at all times. As women, we somehow think that we are superhero characters and we all have that cape. One of the things I see the most with my clients is exactly that. They literally have a skewed perception of a sense of time. We think that when we put stuff on the calendar, we have unlimited time opportunity and we somehow can get things done way faster than it actually happens in real life. And then we can multitask and we can do all these things for all the other people. And yet we're supposed to have time for our kids and for our partners and for ourselves, right? Hashtag self-care that everybody talks about right now. So, and then you are in this overdrive grind that becomes so, consuming that somewhere along the line, you have lost the sense of joy. You have lost the sense of purpose. And which is even more scary, you have lost the sense of yourself. So, if you're in this place right now, if you have come across this, I know most of you have had this moment in your lives where you are laying in bed in the morning or going to bed at night, or maybe you're sitting at your desk during the day and you're like, I am burned out. I just can't do this anymore. I don't know how I can manage all this in my day. You got to stop. Like I'm telling you, and it's ironic that I'm telling you on the iStartFirst podcast, but I'm telling you, you have to stop and reevaluate your life because the biggest struggle that I see right now with women is that balance between remaining ambitious, being in the drive mode, being in the hustle and grind mode that gets promoted to you 24/7 from all types of different sources, myself included, But you also need to realize that huge part of building your business is having the balance. And yes, there'll be plenty of people who will argue with me that balance is elusive and you have to go into the, high intensity modes. Absolutely. That's not what I'm arguing against. I'm just saying that if in the process of building your business, building your career, building your life, you have lost a sense of purpose, you have lost a sense of joy, no money will matter. And you see, when we're younger and we just start our businesses, I think it's even more difficult because we are so concerned with not losing that one extra client, with not losing that one extra deal, with not, making that last phone call at 10 o'clock at night when your brain is barely functioning anymore, but you're still pushing. We're so driven by fear at the beginning at times that we do it, and do it and do it and keep repeating that situation. But in reality, if you're not enjoying this, you're not going to enjoy what you're building, because every single level you reach, it's that minuscule piece of your journey. But if you're not actually enjoying the journey, you won't enjoy that piece, because that piece is very short lived. That happiness, that achievement of the goal is very short lived. On your journey, you spend about 80% of your time in the actual journey. And you see, when I see people talk about hustle and grind, and that's not stop and never ending, that hustle and grind has to be intentional. Yes, there are moments when I go hardcore and when I go beast mode or whatever you want to call this, but I do it intentionally because I now know that I have to have that balance. And when I hit the wall and when I cannot create anymore, I am not going to half ass both, as a lot of women do. A lot of you half ass your rest and half ass your work. A lot of you half-ass being with kids and still manage to answer emails in between, or let me just take this one call, or let me just peek into this whatever website for a second, and then you're gone. You're mentally not there. So you see, rather than half-assing both, I am a big believer now, and trust me, I wasn't born this way. So please don't sit there and go, oh, good for you, Alinka. No, it came with experience. It came with understanding that if I'm not enjoying what I'm building, I spend majority of my life in this process because I'm a lifelong learner. I am wanting to build a legacy to inspire thousands of women. So I'm not planning to build and stop. So I know I am training for a marathon. And if you're not a runner, or if you are, you see, I'm a runner. I understand the difference between running 400 meters and running half marathon or full marathon, which is 26 miles. It takes a very different stamina. It takes very different preparation. And it most certainly takes a very different mindset. Your mindset alone in the long run is not going to serve you if you never allow yourself the rest and the balance. You see, most of the women, and trust me, I was one of you. I was that woman when at the beginning, when I started building my business, when I would take half a day off and I was concerned and scared and worried, and literally a rest brought me anxiety. I mean, I guarantee you that those of you who are listening right now, some of you are going, amen, sister, preach, right? Because I know you're out there. I know that rest brings you anxiety. Laying in front of the pool or laying in your bed in your pajamas brings you anxiety sometimes, because you see, you have trained yourself so much to run the race constantly. But you see, you have to have peaks and valleys. You have to have contrast in your life in order to appreciate the good things, in order to appreciate achievements, in order to appreciate incredible people you meet along the way. You need to have that contrast. So you can't possibly operate at high beast mode, super laser focused time, mode all the time. It's just physically impossible because you're a human being. And that hashtag, self-love or self-care, it can be just a hashtag for you to survive the long race that you're trying to build with your life. So yesterday when I was in bed, it just so happened I saw another woman. I saw a post on social media of a woman who was struggling. And you see, I was laying in my bed in my pajamas, slightly under the weather, feeling completely fine. I had no guilt because I knew that I am going to take this whole day for as long as I can off. And then the next day, I'm going to get up and double perform, which is exactly what I'm doing today. I'm laser focused. I'm feeling much, much better. I'm put together and I am showing up in a very big way. But I wasn't feeling guilty and I wasn't feeling anxious because realistically, you guys, those 8 or 9 hours or 6 hours or whatever it is, they're not going to make or break your business. I'm sorry, they're not. But realistically, too, those 6, 7, 8 hours that you will push through at operating at maybe 30 or 40% of your capacity are going to linger into the next day and the next day, where you now operating on 30 or 40 or 20% of your capacity for weeks because your brain is not rested, because your body is not rested. You see, people argue the point of what is more important, wealth or joy or happiness or peace, whatever you want to call this. Well, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, there is no money that's going to matter in your life if your joy and presence and happiness are not there alongside with it. So you see, there is actually a psychological and scientific proof that you grow and you perform at the top of your ability only when you are in the peaceful, blissful, most joyful, pleasant state of mind. So I'm going to say that again. There is a psychological and scientific proof that you operate at the top of your ability only when you are physiologically and physically feeling at the top of your game. When you're rested, when you're excited, when you feel great. And no, you're not always going to feel great, and that's not to be this way. I mean, a journey is a journey, a run is a run. There'll be moments when you maybe don't feel that great. But again, if your body is exhausted, if your mind is just barely functioning, you can't possibly operate at the highest capacity. That's why if you look at people who are playing at really high levels, like Steve Jobs, like Tony Robbins, all of them have times when they walk away from everything and just rest. I remember being at Darren Hardy's. I mean, I'm pretty much obsessed with Darren. But I remember being at Darren Hardy's, one of his first events, and he was sharing a story where when his wife came out, he was sitting there reading a newspaper while there was someone else washing his car. And she asked if, like, what are you doing? Why could you wash your car yourself? And he said, I'm being paid right now for rest and relaxation. I am preserving my energy. I'm restoring my energy so I can perform at the top of my ability, so I can show up tomorrow and play in a major way. And you see, that's why when we talk about that grind and hustle, I'm all about both. I'm all about starting and succeeding and being intentional and creating your path. But you also need to know that there are times in your life when you have to walk away, when you have to get quiet, when you have to give yourself care. And the more you do that, the better you're going to perform. The more you're feeling at the top of your ability physically, the more balanced you are, the better you're going to perform. And I know it sounds so weird because, you have all these worries and finances and things you're trying to build, but you will be better off. It's that mentality of working smarter, not harder. You're absolutely better off rested and doubling down the next few days versus being completely exhausted and completely at the last fumes, when the cup is so empty, you can see everything. And it's pretty much just a cup. There isn't a drop left there to serve anyone. And yet you're trying to create. I mean, you're creating at 20% is never going to, outperform you creating at 100%. I mean, you would agree with that. So your balance and the restoring of that peace is so, so important. So rather than half-assing everything, you really need to figure out a process in your life, and it takes time. I'm not saying just jump. I'm not saying if you've never taken, full day off. I actually remember myself very vividly with my first business when I have never really taken a weekend off, and I really wanted to. And I decided that I'm going to take one full day off, which would be Sunday. And I remember being like restless in the first couple hours and like thinking, oh, let me just look at my email just for 5 seconds. I just want to look at just one email. And before you know it, you're in the rabbit hole of 100 emails. But I also realized that I couldn't go from never taking that weekend off to jumping off and just being by myself doing me. So I changed my tracks, I changed my plan, and I executed differently. I took 3 hours off and I put away my phone completely and I spent it with my loved ones and I got myself out of the house. Because as a woman, a lot of times you have to get yourself out of the house, because even if you tell me and you tell yourself that it's okay, I'm just going to stay at home and do this. I'm just, I got this. I can stay at home and not do anything. No, I don't believe you. I don't buy that. And you shouldn't either. Because there is a laundry, there is maybe a dish, you saw something, you think, oh, I can just clean my closet. There's 100 million small things that are going to show up out of nowhere, draw your attention, give you anxiety, give you stress. And next thing you know it, you're cleaning the house, doing the laundry, and your only excuse is, well, I'm not working on my business. But that's not fully resting. That is not walking away from everything. So that's what I'm saying. At the beginning, it's actually a good thing to get yourself out of the house. Go to the park, go to the mall, walk around, find something fun. It doesn't have to involve spending money. You can go and walk around and look at pretty things. You can go and sit in an art gallery or coffee shop that you love so much. You can do a million of other things that will not involve spending money, but also allow you to journal. You can go hike, you can go work out, do something for you. I don't know what that thing for you is. Sometimes for me, I go out and I'll sit in public place and I look at puppies, and everybody who knows me knows that I love puppies. I have websites saved for when I'm stressed out and I don't feel good, so I go look at puppies. You're welcome. This is a strategy, but you all should have strategies for things that make you feel excited again, that bring you joy back into your life. So your goal is to find those strategies, get yourself out of the house for maybe 2 or 3 hours at first, and start there. And then from 2 to 3 hours, you go to half day. And I remember taking my first half Sunday off and taking my daughter and going to do things and actually not taking my phone out of the car. It felt pretty epic, I'm not gonna lie. And then I remember taking my first day off on the weekend and saying, that's it. I'm going to take my whole Sunday off. And I did not feel guilty. I did not want to check my emails. I did not want to do laundry. I did not do anything but fun things that made me who I am, that reminded me of woman and the little girl who sits inside you, wants to play and wants to have fun sometimes. And no, you are not going to convince me or yourself that those 8 hours are somehow affecting you tremendously on a financial level, because it is not true. I'm telling you this right now. The rest and relaxation and joy and purpose and intention that you're going to bring back into your life by taking those 8 hours is going to be a game changer. I mean, the game changer. Because if you've never done half a day off and then sat down and journaled your goals to the next level, you'll be mind blown how differently you're operating and how differently your mind operates, how much clarity you have, how much excitement is back into your life. Same thing if you take one full day off and you get so much excitement. When you come back, you feel renewed, you feel rested, you feel different. Even if you're not super rested, you still feel like your brain is creating and it's open and excited and loving yourself again and meeting amazing people. I remember doing this for a while where I would take a day off just with a purpose to get out of the house and start conversations with random people. And I met most amazing people, and the stories I heard from this, mind blowing. A lot of that A lot of them have made connections for my business. Some of them would just remain in touch. Some of them, nothing happened. But it's just putting yourself into a completely different environment, right? I talk about this all the time. I say that you cannot outgrow your environment. You cannot, it's very difficult to win against your environment. So to operate differently, you need to put yourself into different environments sometimes. Grab a sister, grab mom, friend, whoever, get out of the house, go do something. Take that day for you. Give yourself a time back that reminds you who you are and why you started with what you're doing in the first place. Because guess what? Nobody wins battles from the place of burnout. Nobody wins awards or gets huge deals from the place of burnout. I am going to argue on that forever because you can't. Your brain and your law of attraction or whatever you believe in cannot attract things to you when you're in a place where you can't possibly serve anyone, including yourself, anymore. I was at a women's event recently and I saw this woman who was absolutely beautiful as a human and as a person. And she shared this story about how she looks at serving others. And she says, you can only, if you are a cup, if you have this beautiful porcelain cup and you have this gorgeous, amazing, tea or water inside that, if that cup is not, when that cup is filled and it's overflowing into the saucer, you take what's in the saucer and you serve others from that. You don't serve it from the cup actually at all. That cup is for you. But when that cup starts overflowing, you take the saucer and you serve others. And that's how you operate at your highest capacity. And I couldn't agree more. It was such a beautiful visual. I think about it all the time now. I think, is my cup full? Is it overflowing to the saucer? Am I ready to give something and to serve from that place? Because when I am at that high, fulfilled, excited mode, that's when I operate at my best capacity. That's when I serve the best. That's when I create the best. That's when I sell the best. Whatever mode of operation you're going through in your business at that time, you will only do it when you physically, mentally are at the best time, at the best level, at the highest capacity possible. So don't get sold into this constant grind, constant hustle, never ending running mentality, because you cannot, and that I'm telling you this as a runner now, you cannot win a marathon race without being prepared, without taking time for proper rest, proper balance, and proper nutrition, which is serving yourself, which is your self-love and your self-care. That balance is going to be the absolute game changer in the long game. And I hope all of you are in whatever you're doing, whatever you're passionate about, all of you in it for the long game. I love you all. Kick ass and sparkle. Thank you so much for listening to iStartFirst podcast. If you loved it as much as I did, feel free to tag us on Instagram at iStartFirst_. Share it with your besties, and if you feel so compelled, give us that 5-star review on iTunes. Till next time, and like always, kick ass and sparkle up.